Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. I am very excited for what I'm going to be talking to you about today. In my last vlog, I went over how I'm trying to implement film way more into my channel, and I think this is the best place to start by going over my favorite movies. I think that a lot of my movies tend to come from whether it's like a comfort movie thing or movies that I really love to analyze. I recently graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Film, so I did study film both in the creative and business sense, so I understand certain things about film, which makes me love film 10 times more, and I love watching movies, whether it's in the theater or at home, and I think it's only great to start implementing film onto my channel by starting with these favorite films. So without further ado, let's just get into the films. Starting off with my favorite film of all time, The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club was directed by John Hughes. It came out in 1985, and it explores young adults in a way that film had never kind of done before. I think young adults, especially teenagers, were overlooked in film and media long before John Hughes came onto the scene. There's films with young stars and young children as the lead. However, this is the first instance where we get to see teens in a role where they're really taken seriously and they talk about very serious topics, whether it's about mental health or their lives at home. Hi everyone. I'm actually editing the video right now, and I kind of worded what I just said a little wrong actually. The Breakfast Club essentially does talk about very serious things, but it goes into how people actually don't take teenagers seriously, and they should, and how important that is for us to reflect on that, because young adults go through some of the most insane and intense life changes in the span of 5 years. So truly, I think the film starts to go into what it's like to be a teenager and how being in an adult world is very, very difficult, and navigating that and not being taken seriously is also very hard. So having to go through that as a teenager is not the easiest. So just wanted to clarify that. So the whole film essentially goes into what it would be like to stay stuck in a room with 5 teenagers for 8 hours. I believe it's one of the revolutionary films when it comes to young adult films, especially when it comes to films that we may know now as like The Fault in Our Stars or The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Young adult films like that, I think, have stemmed from a film like The Breakfast Club. John Hughes was pretty incredible about making films for young adults that actually portray what it's like to be a teenager. So it was really cool growing up with this film and kind of seeing how my life would coincide with it as I was getting older and becoming an older teenager. But still, to this day, still one of my favorite films. It's the most simple concept, having people in the same room for 8 hours. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna talk about? And then we see all the madness unfold. It's brilliant. I love it. It is my favorite film. My next favorite film is Little Women, the 2019 version directed by Greta Gerwig. I think the color grading absolutely helps to nail the aesthetic of the film. I think there is, though, a misunderstanding of what the colors mean in the film. I know the misunderstanding tends to be that when you're a kid, life is full of warmth and color. When you're older, it's not. It's drained, it's very blue, it's very sad. But I don't think that was the goal that Greta Gerwig and the cinematographers had. I definitely believe that the goal was to show what it's like to be around the people that you love and having really a fulfilled life. And I think that's what it was like for the March sisters growing up. I think they absolutely loved life, and they showed that with the color grading, how warm and wonderful it was because they were around their family, their loved ones, and as they were all separate, that's when we noticed that the color was a little bit less saturated, it was a little more blue toned, and in the very end of the film tends to go back to that warm color grading because they were all back together. So truly the film is about sisterhood and love and family, and I think that's why Greta Gerwig is pretty much a genius when it comes to the craft of this. She also wrote the script for it, and during the script process, she had done something a little bit different where she kind of overlapped people's lines. So for example, if Florence Pugh had a line and then Emma Watson had a line at the same time, she would put like a slash in between it. I'll insert like a picture here of what that kind of looks like. The reason she did that is so that the conversations between the families and all the people that were interacting were authentic and they felt genuine, like how real people would talk in the real world, because it's not very like one line, one line, one line. A lot of people get really excited, especially when you're young and you talk over each other. And so I think it's pretty brilliant the way that was integrated because it felt very natural watching it. I think that's why as a viewer, I really attach myself to this film because it feels like I'm a March sister. It feels like I'm in the space with all of them. So I think it's one of my favorite films for that reason. Another one of my favorite films is Pride and Prejudice. It is the 2005 version. This one was directed by Joe Wright. I think it's a great film. There's been many iterations, as we know, of Pride and Prejudice, whether it's in film form, book form, adaptation form. There's been many different versions of Pride and Prejudice. And I think that's also why I love Pride and Prejudice, because you're able to really integrate that trope of the arrogant and guarded Mr. Darcy with the adventurous and open-minded Elizabeth Bennet. And I think it was really cool for me to see the 2005 version. It's definitely the most historical yet modern version of the story. Obviously it's set in the time that Jane Austen had written the novel, but it's the most recent version of that, I believe, besides Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is not on this list today. But I think it's really cool to see a film like this and how much it's integrated its way into different types of romance films, romance shows, romance books, and it's truly telling how powerful Jane Austen's work is, because you can see a lot of the tropes integrated in a lot of different films nowadays, like Bridget Jones's Diary. Literally one of the characters is named Mr. Darcy. Funny enough, the guy who played that, Colin Firth, actually played Mr. Darcy in the 90s version, so I thought that was a pretty cool and interesting little Easter egg, I guess. I don't know if it's considered an Easter egg, but I thought that was really cool. I also think that even though that the costumes weren't historically accurate, it helped to cater to a modern audience enough to where, like, even though I'm not a costume person, I understand that it's from that time as close as it can be, while also catering to the modern audience, because you want to be invested in the characters, you want them to look beautiful, you want them to look kind of like how they do in that time of the 1800s, but also with a little bit of a twist. Plus you can take creative liberties, which is kind of like what's going on with Bridgerton. Bridgerton, though, is a little more on the extreme end of the taking liberties, which is fine. I love Bridgerton. I just think that Pride and Prejudice is a little more tamed down. So if you definitely want that historical period romance movie, I think that Pride and Prejudice 2005 is a great start, and if you want to go and explore the other versions of it or the adapted versions of it, you definitely should. Another one of my favorite films is La La Land. La La Land is truly a love letter to cinema. This was directed by Damien Chazelle, and this movie is critically acclaimed. It is a fantastic film for a reason. It explores the world of cinema, musicals, romance, drama. It's got all of it in there, which is pretty amazing. And it has one of the most amazing endings I've ever seen in a film. Obviously, not to spoil it, but if you know, you know. It is an insane kind of ending, because it's not the movie ending that you would expect for a movie that has so much love for film. And I think it's very telling about the way that it was written, the way that the director took the story, that it was meant to be a little bit different, more realistic, but the most realistic, fantastic film ever. I feel like I'm rambling about it. I'm trying not to spoil any of these films while I'm doing these, because this is not like a synopsis of any of the films. This is more of just like why I love the film and why you should go watch it if you haven't seen it. I think Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are fantastic in these roles. Like, truly, they've been the two muses for each other forever, honestly, since like I think Crazy Stupid Love, and they're fantastic together. Their chemistry is amazing. You can tell that they really put their all into these roles, and you can see it coming through the screen, which is amazing. And I just really love that I can connect with it both on the film end of it and just because of how amazing the story is. Another one of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. This is probably my first favorite movie. I have loved this movie since I was like 8-9 years old, the first time I ever saw it. This was directed by Victor Fleming. It's an absolutely pivotal film in the world of cinema and the history of cinema. I think it does get confused though as being like one of the first Technicolor films, which it was up there, but it wasn't the first Technicolor, but it definitely innovated it and it pushed it towards the forefront. So then most films started to become more Technicolor, more advanced in the way that they were producing color in film. So I think it was a really pivotal moment in the world of cinema. It came out in 1939, which is still pretty early. This is in the early ages of Hollywood, right on the cusp of the golden age. And so this was definitely, I think, the stepping stone for that golden age. It definitely showcased how Hollywood can be, how big productions can be. I mean, this was a huge to do. It was one of the biggest films at the time. It's still one of the biggest movies of all time. It has such a cultural impact in our psyche, and I think that everyone knows about it. It's very hard not to know about The Wizard of Oz. I think everybody in their roles were absolutely perfect because they made a cultural impression. Again, this is truly like a pop culture movie, and I think it's definitely one of those movies that you have to see if you love film. The next movie on my list is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It won the Oscar for Best Picture about a year ago, and it 100% deserved it. This is a fantastic fantastic film. I'm really into editing. I don't see myself being an editor in the future. However, I definitely was into editing and I thought I would be an editor a few years ago. So when I found out the way that this was edited was all on Adobe Premiere, I lost my mind. Like, I truly couldn't believe that a film, the way that it was done, how complicated the shots were, how complicated the VFX were, how complicated certain elements were, was all done through Premiere. It absolutely blew my mind, and I was truly taken aback by how impressive this was. And it was also definitely one of the most important films in the 20th century. I think it definitely put Asian creators at the forefront, and I mean, Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress for it, and Ki Wei Kwan won Best Supporting Actor. Obviously, that film just swept up as it should. I really think it was a fantastic film and much deserved of its acclaim. Taking away all of the notable awards, it is an impressive film. It was super engaging. I was never not on the edge of my seat. It was truly incredible. It's the most unique film I had seen in a while. I remember I hadn't seen it initially when it first came out, but I tried to watch it before the Oscars, which I'm so glad I did. But it's a truly incredible film. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should, especially if you want to get into editing. The next film on my list is 10 Things I Hate About You, which was directed by Gil Junger. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, I'm not sure. But this is an awesome movie. It's definitely one of my comfort movies. I watch it often whenever I'm feeling like I just need one of my normal movies that I'm usually used to watching. This was actually based off of The Taming of the Shrew, which is a William Shakespeare play. And so it's taking that into the 90s where it's very, very modern, but I absolutely love it. This is with Heath Ledger, where this is one of his earlier roles. He is fantastic in it. He is adorable in it. Julia Stiles plays the lead, and I think she's great as Kat Stratford. The whole enemies to lovers trope is absolutely adorable in this, because you can tell from the moment that the movie starts and we're introduced to the characters of Kat and Patrick that they're meant for each other. We can see that from a mile away. They can't, which is so funny, but they're absolutely perfect for each other. Sorry about the different angle. My camera died while I was talking, but essentially the film came out in 1999, so it's right on the cusp of the early 2000s. So if you love early 2000s films, rom-coms, this is definitely the one for you. The next film on my list is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. This might be a bit of an unexpected one on my list, however, I think it's adorable. It came out in 2018. This was directed by Susan Johnson. It is a Netflix original, however, I think it's a really great Netflix film, and I think it's one of its stronger ones. I remember when this came out, everyone was obsessed with it. It's based off of Jenny Han's novels, which came out, I think, in 3 parts, because there's 3 films, so there's 3 versions of the book as well. Obviously, we all know Jenny Han from The Summer I Turned Pretty. She's absolutely incredible as a producer, and I think with her hands in all of her projects, she really helped to take her book and make it as close as possible to what the film is, but making enough important changes to enhance the film. And that's what I love about adapting intellectual properties into a film. You don't have to keep everything, but I think if you understand the structure and the boning of a story, you can definitely fluff it up, make it a little bit different, help to enhance it, because you're putting it into film and television form, which is much different than a novel. Telling a story through book form is great. You're able to understand the characters' thoughts and feelings because they're telling you that word for word. However, you can't do that in a film. I can't tell you what I'm feeling versus me showing that. So you have to show, not tell. And I think Jenny Han's done a great job at that, and To All the Boys I've Loved Before really helped to do that. Granted, there is narration. However, I think for narration, this was a great place to put it, and I think it's so cute. Like, I love Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky. Their little love thing is so cute because they start off as like a fake dating thing. The fake dating trope is definitely something that works here. Sometimes it's not my favorite just because I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, imagine if I like fake dated in real life. I can't see myself doing that, but watching other characters do it, I love it. Like, that's the power of entertainment. I can watch you do it. I don't know if I could do it, but I could see you do it. The next film on my list is Mamma Mia. I love Mamma Mia. It's so cute. I don't know if I've really seen too many films that have executed taking different artists' work and putting it in musical form. There are jukebox musicals, and there's plenty of good ones out there, but Mamma Mia just does it so well. Like, each song is brilliantly woven into the story. Like, I don't know how they do it so well, but it's amazing. I have such an admiration for that. I don't know how to make a musical. I've never done that in school. I've never really learned how to make a musical. So props to people that do that. It's fantastic. I just think it's also such a fun summer movie. So if you're looking for a great summer movie, you should watch Mamma Mia. It is great. Like I said, all the songs are iconic. They're ABBA songs. How are they not? And they're definitely songs that drive the story along. I think that's what I really love about it, because sometimes they just throw songs in for jukebox musicals that don't really have anything to do with it, but maybe because the singers sing it well, or because it would just sound really cool. It's like, yeah, but does it push the story forward, you know? So that's why I really like it. I think it's great. I think all of it's integrated very well. Obviously, Meryl Streep's in it. Anything with Meryl Streep is fantastic. I think it's super entertaining. It's such a fun watch. It's definitely an all-time favorite of mine. The last and final movie I have on my favorites list is Crazy Rich Asians. I love this movie. It is absolutely adorable. It was definitely a revolutionary movie with a all Asian ensemble. I don't know anyone that doesn't like Crazy Rich Asians. It's a fantastic film. I think what I really love about it is there's different storylines going on. However, they all pretty much integrate into one simultaneous story, and it moves everything along, and I really, really enjoy that. And I think it's just a super fun watch. You get to see a girl really out of her element trying to fit in with a family that she wants to impress for her fiance, and I totally get it, but she's having to go through a lot of different trials and tribulations with a family that she has no idea who they are really, and then when she meets them, she's taken aback. I don't blame her. Like, imagine if me or you went to a whole new country to meet your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your partners, whole family that you've never met, found out that they're so rich, and then you're just like, what do I do with myself? That's essentially what's going on in this film. It's bonkers, and it's so fun, and there's funny moments, and I think it's just a fun film to watch if you're looking for something pretty lighthearted but also really heartfelt. I know also people have been saying it's their favorite plane movie. I get it. It's a great movie to watch on the plane. How can you not? It's absolutely fantastic. This was directed by John Chu, and so thank you to this director, thank you to the producers, thank you to the whole film in general, the cast, everybody who was involved in this, because it's a great movie. Thank you for giving us that, and also because it really revolutionized seeing Asian casts being the majority. I mean, we had Everything Everywhere All at Once on this list as well, so having films like that is really, really amazing to see. And those are my favorite films. These are all my personal opinion, of course. At the end of the day, everyone's gonna have their own favorite movies. Totally get it. I have different movies though that I like for different genres, different types of films, so as I continue to make more film content on this channel, you guys will be seeing a lot more of that. I'll be much more specific in the future, whether it comes to studio films, genre films, or films I watched in school, so you'll be seeing a lot more of that soon. Comment down below any other type of film related thing that you want to see from me. I'm so excited to finally be implementing this on my channel. It is long overdue, and I'm very excited to see what you guys think about it. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because there's more to come. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Bye!